Hello, my spectacular friends. Is my mic live? Are we good? Last night for Twitch, I was messing up everything, but today we are good. I think I did it. We are good. I've got the mic on. We've got the lights on. The cat is going. Things are good. Happy Friday, everybody. This is going to be so good. And happy birthday, Jess. You said it's double good because it's your birthday and because it's coffee chat, but I have a third good for you is that just before the live stream, I picked the winners for the giveaways that have closed so far, and you won the Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw bundle. So as soon as the paperback is available for A Mirror of Shadows, I will send those both to you. So we got a triple good. That is so exciting. So the giveaways that have closed so far are the first bundle that includes a paperback of A Mirror of Shadows. There will be more options, more opportunities to win that book, as well as, yay, Tori, welcome to the BCS. Just in time for our after party today. Now I'm not going to remember, you guys. I'm having some trouble with word retrieval just because there's so much going on that I'm like, blah, I didn't even have time to do my hair. I don't think it looks bad, but look at how cute these earrings are, though. They're like my favorite. So we're going to just ignore the hair in lieu of the cute earrings. But the Vanessa pause went to Teresa Kennedy, I think is how you say it. And then there was another giveaway that I just chose, and I can't remember which one. But if you are curious, head to sarracannon.com/blog, and you will find all of the giveaways. T-shirt. Thank you, Carolina. This is another Piper and Ivy t-shirt that I got just for this occasion, but I got to pull it up now. There are some new Fourth Wall Sarra Cannon shop merch items. One is K-pop Demon Hunter themed. So if you are coming to watch us watch K-pop Demon Hunters with us tomorrow on Netflix Teleparty, you will recognize this if you are a fan. Let me see if I can pull up the actual store. Where's the store? It's just giving me my back end. There we go. So a few things. Let me share this with you. You can find the store just in the like the shelf beneath the. Why is it not doing this? Beneath the YouTube channel, and you can find it on Heart Breathings and here. But I just put up some rough draft challenge stuff. But also, I have to say this is inspired by Cassie Ray and some just behind the scenes joking around, but this t-shirt says fit check for my rough draft era, because if you are a K-pop Demon Hunter fan, you know that fit check for my Napalm era is from the How It's Done song that starts the whole movie. And so we've got fit check for my rough draft era. So anybody who's doing some fun writing for the month, you can grab that. You can also grab this rough draft challenge t-shirt. I've got it in lots of different colors. You'll notice some of the sizes, like some of the larger sizes and sometimes the extra small, are sold out in certain colors. You can only guess why some things might be harder to get. But I also love this for our ghosty fans. We have this cute little ghost. Let me see if I can move this. Yeah, there we go. We have this little ghost tote. It is so cute, and it comes in black and it comes in this sort of canvas color. So cute. Little ghostly book readers. We also have this Salem Book Club tote that this one only comes in the canvas color. And then the little book reading ghosts come in multiple colors in a t-shirt as well. So cute. I just love it. I had to buy one. I can't remember what color I got for myself. Then it also comes in a hoodie. And then I have this Salem University to be true to our dark academia theme. We've got a Salem University shirt. And then I also have a Salem Book Club shirt. Salem Book Club comes in a bunch of different colors. If you have any other color requests, let me know. But I picked the ones I thought it looked good on. There's a Salem Book Club hoodie and a sticker, and there's also a Salem Witch Academy mug and t-shirts and things like that. So I have been busy adding new merch. I love this Salem Witch Academy t-shirt. Why did it disappear? Come back. I just think it is so cute and I love it. But I want my goal was to get all of this merch up before Spooktacular began and to have ordered it so you guys could actually see it, but I didn't have time. But there's more Rough Draft Challenge stuff coming as well. And there is a special Broken Chapter Society new logo that has kind of a, let's see if I can find it because I just listed that as well. BCS emblem that I haven't really revealed to you guys yet, but it just says Broken Chapter Society, and it has Custodos Sumos, which you guys will learn over time is basically going to be our Latin phrase for the BCS. But there's more BCS merch coming too, so hang in there. We got it. We're adding it slowly but surely. But if you are interested in purchasing any of that, what happened there? It's just linked like in the on the shelf here. Like as you are looking at the YouTube video, those products should be listed down below. It might say Bad Witch or something like that. You just click on that and it'll take you to the store, but it's also just sarracannon.shop.fourthwall.com, or not .shop, but /shop. This, but I can post a link to it later too. But I've been working on those for like the past couple of days to get everything up. But we're going to also have some Rough Draft Challenge stuff for all the different like Sapphire tier, Ruby tier, et cetera, with the color shirt of the, the stuff of the thing of the whatever. So we're getting it done. We also have these cute mugs. I wish I had this in the shop, but I do not. But I bought these last year. I shared that on Twitch last night, and I needed a tea for stress relief. Like Zen, I can do all of this. I can do hard things. What we're going to talk about today, there's a couple of things. So first of all, the most exciting thing that is happening is that on Monday, I'm going to start reading my brand new book in the Shadow Demons world called A Mirror of Shadows. So if you have not heard the news, because I tend to like, this is my fatal flaw when it comes to marketing, is I'm like, I told you guys on a live stream and I have mentioned it nowhere else. I haven't sent an email. I haven't told people, but hopefully you guys will show up and we will make a time of it. But it is going to be hopefully so good. Angela, Cassie, and my friend Casey all got to read just the very first page and have assured me that it is going well so far, but I cannot wait. Should I catch up, or I should catch up on the Shadow Demon saga? Not necessarily. So I have a few spinoffs, but in general, I try to write the spinoffs like you don't have to read everything else. So the Shadow Games is a different set of characters. It is happening several years, decades in the past compared to Harper. And so there will be a few things that you will discover about the Shadow world and the witches and the priestesses and how the magic works a little bit that you could consider minor spoilers for the larger series, but it won't be anything like major spoilers for the reveals and things like that. So you can read this book without having read the Shadow Demon saga, and hopefully it will make you want to read it. But it also will tie in pretty closely because the stuff that you learn in this series will play into book 12 of the Shadow Demon saga. So I am very excited. Oh, Casey, thank you. She says it's spine tingly good. I'm looking forward to it. I am nervous. Like every time I think about it, I have this nervousness in my belly, which I think is a good sign because I have really just poured my heart into this and I have really loved being back in the Shadow world with this new character with a different type of story setup. There will be Muse merch. George is looking at so years ago, you guys had seen this when I had done, I think it was during the pandemic era, I had done NaNoWriMo vlogs, and we had a saying, the muse always wins, and we had a logo made for that. But George has it, so he's going to look for it in his Google Drive, and as soon as we have it, that will also go up, and it will go up before Rough Draft Challenge begins. So lots of things. Diana, I keep expecting the cat to turn its head around in a full circle and yell my name. It will not do that. It's not going to do that. I promise. It's all going to be good. But I'm hoping that you guys are going to love this story, and I hope you're going to love the opening, and everything is coming together. My plan for this book, if I can make it happen, also is to have this book is short, so it's going to be like similar in size in terms of a paperback to Beautiful Demon. So it won't be super big, but I'm trying to figure out how to do forced edges so that I can have it printed through just a normal printer like Ingram or KDP and still have edges along the side. I know you can kind of do it in vellum, but I'm going to be experimenting with that. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get some purple edges to it. So if anybody has done that yourself, please reach out to me and tell me how you did it. Or if you found a video on someone that has learned how to do it, let me know. I know there's some videos from vellum as well as painted wings that have some specialty forced edges and stuff, but I just think that would be super cool. So I will keep you guys updated on that, because like my dream is to have paperbacks that have the edges for all the different colors of the gemstones for the next covers. So I will keep you updated on that. But anyway, lots of fun stuff coming. So just to briefly go over the timeline for the next couple of days. Tomorrow we are watching. Thank you, Crystal. Who won? So excited. So for the next couple of days, tomorrow we have K-pop Demon Hunters Netflix teleparty. So if you have never done a watch party with us, there's a few little rules to that. One is everybody individually has to have their own Netflix account. It can be a trial account. It can be your mom's account. I don't care. I won't tell anybody, but it needs to be your own individual account. But tomorrow on the blog, starting around 3 p.m. Eastern, I will share a link to my teleparty, and you just need to follow the directions on the blog, install it into your like Chrome or Edge browser. And then when you click on the link, it should open up similar to what you have right here on YouTube, where it will be K-pop Demon Hunters, but then it will also be chat like this on the side. And it's going to be super fun. And what we're going to do is we will go through and we will watch the movie. You can do some sing-alongs if you want to. We aren't going to watch the sing-along version, but we will just watch the regular version. And as we are going through it, I will stop and tell you a little bit about the story structure and some of the things that I think are interesting in terms of the writing of that series. And I think it will be really good. It's the same one we used last year, just it'll be a new link to the different show. But I will get it set up right this time so that no one else can control it, because that was kind of a nightmare last year. Holly says, I just bought the package from Painted Wings for vellum. And then could you just have that printed straight through KDP? Send me a message because I want to make it easy. So yeah, if you don't have a Netflix account, then you won't be able to watch with us, unfortunately, Jordan. So that is the only caveat, because if I play K-pop Demon Hunters like myself for everybody, then I'm breaking federal laws of stealing from people, other people. So the way that it works is you kind of have to have your own Netflix. So it's fine. If you can't make it, we've got tons of other things that we're doing, and it will be super fun. I don't remember if it works on phones. I feel like it does. Somebody let me know if you remember if it works on phones, but there are instructions at the bottom of today's blog. So if you go to sarracannon.com/blog, the very first one that talks about today's coffee chat, if you go down all the way to the bottom, there's some instructions, and you can just click on that, or you can just Google, can I use teleparty on my phone? And it should tell you, or Angela can do it right now. Yeah, I don't have bail money. So the watch party I believe it works on multiple different browsers. Just Google teleparty or go to those instructions and it'll tell you. I know it works on Chrome, but I think it works on Edge. It might work on a couple others as well. Tomorrow it is at 4 p.m. Eastern. Almost everything we're doing is 4 p.m. Eastern, just to keep it simple. But like the Twitch streams are at late night, and a couple other things are switched around on time, but it's 4 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be the same time today. It says promo available. Is that already added? So the promo is if you spend $75 in the shop, you get free shipping. I don't know if that counts for international shipping as well, but it will count for domestic shipping, and it should be automatically added. But if it's not, let me know. If it's charging you shipping and you've spent more than 75, let me know and I will get it to you. Oh, Google says yes on mobile. Great. So that is, oh, I don't know how that works, Diana, with the with the commercials. You can try or Google it. I don't know. But anyway, Weeping Angels with the Blinking Cat. According to Teleparty, there's a contact form to let you know when Teleparty is available. So not yet. What do you mean? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, troubleshoot it on your own or send me an email, but I'll be around tomorrow. So if you want to send me an email, we can figure it out. It's showing free on UK for the shipping. That's exciting. Very cool. Okay. Sunday is Broken Chapter Society sprints for the Curator of Secrets tier. So if you're on the top tier of Broken Chapter Society, we're going to do 2 hours from 4 to 6 p.m. I think it is, of reading sprints. So bring a book. I might be actually working on my book because I still am like tweaking and editing and stuff of later chapters. So, I might be working on my book, but the kids are going to join us for a little bit. And Andrew and Evie and George are intended to join us for a little bit to hang out as well. So, it'll be fun. Okay. Lucinda says, I have the lower tier and you will get out of sync with commercials. So that kind of stinks. But you can come join us and we'll see kind of how it goes. Let's see what else. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about how some of these stories you have heard, but we're going to talk about how I got inspiration for each of my books. We are also going to do one sort of surprise giveaway only for people who are here on the live stream, because I have a stack of the first book in all my series here, and you can choose one of those books signed and sent to you. So hashtag ideas, if you put in hashtag, of course, if I do this, it will enter me to win, but that's okay. Hashtag ideas enters you to win a paperback from this live stream. Today's giveaway on the blog also is a full set, I believe, of Fairhope paperbacks. And I did leave a quick note on the thing that I have my top VA, Eliza assistant, is making those images, and she put an image that looks like it's paperbacks or hardcovers in a slipcase. It is not hardcovers. It is paperbacks, just so you know. The image is not what you get. You just get 5 or 6 paperbacks, and it'll be great. So make sure that you enter that as well over on the blog. And somebody asked, is the one-on-one? So for the Broken Chapter Society last weekend, I had an entry for a one-on-one Zoom call. That is open all month. So we won't know who won that until the end of the month. So if you are in the Broken Chapter Society and you did not see that, go back to the full moon live stream that we did on Monday and click on that. And in the description, you'll find a link to join that additional giveaway, which is a one-on-one hour-long chat with me. We can chat about literally anything you want. And even if you're just now joining Broken Chapter Society as you get into the weekend or whatever, you can join that. And of course, we will have a Broken Chapter Society after party today once this is over from 5:15 to 6. So lots of fun stuff happening. I also kind of wanted to talk about, I can use this as it's like my book stack can be my little prop for my arm. When we talk about story ideas, I think this is one of the most interesting things when it comes to writers and listening. I love personally listening to how other writers got ideas for their books. And, some people, I feel like their ideas come to them in just a scene or a snippet, or they come to them in a setting first before they see the characters. For some authors, they see the characters first and they're really like hearing the characters in their mind, and they're, hearing snippets of dialogue long before they even know what the story is about. And every writer is different. And sometimes every storyline is different. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of share where I sort of came up with some of these ideas. And you'll notice that for me, a lot of my ideas come as responses to other things that I have been consuming. So if I've been binge watching zombie novels or zombie games and zombie stories and reading zombie books, I usually get ideas for zombie things, and that's just the way that my brain works. Obviously, a lot of people are like this. The more you're consuming urban fantasy, the more likely you are to come up with an urban fantasy idea. But sometimes they've come from different types of places. So we will start with the book that actually chronologically I wrote first. And I'm going to share something I think I have never shared with you before. So the book Death's Awakening technically did not come out until 2013. However, I wrote this book before I wrote Beautiful Demons. So I had been writing, I wrote kind of like a college age horror book that a lot of people were like, well, you'll never sell that. You should write romance. So then I wrote a millionaire kind of fake engagement romance that I pitched to Harlequin Silhouette Desire and was rejected. They requested a full, then they were like, too much subplot, too many side characters. And so I was like, I don't think I'm going to write that anymore. So then I had a friend that was my critique partner, and she was like, you talk about and you read young adult all the time. Why don't you write young adult? And I said, well, because everybody tells me you can't make money doing it. And she was like, that's ridiculous. You should just write what you want. And so at the time, I had been playing a lot of the game Left 4 Dead with my sister. And I was living like 9-hour drive away from my sister, but she had gotten an Xbox. I had gotten an Xbox, and that was how we were spending time together 2 times a week at like 9 p.m. every night. We would get together on our headsets and we would play Left 4 Dead. And I just was so immersed in that. And then I read the book World War Z, which if you've seen the movie with Brad Pitt is very different from the book, but also still good. And actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think if it was World War Z. I feel like it probably was. If somebody wants to look up when did that come out. But I know I read the Zombie Survival Guide, the like handbook that Max Brooks wrote. And I was just getting really inspired by zombie things. And I had read a few other zombie books, and I had been watching a lot of zombie fiction. And so I was like, I want to write a zombie story, but every zombie story that you hear about is really like a lab experiment gone wrong. It feels like it's always like a government lab experiment gone wrong. And I thought, how interesting would it be if the source of the zombie apocalypse was actually a magical witch trapped inside the earth who created not the movie, the book. I feel like the book was before. So Google says 2013 for that book. No, the movie came way after and is completely different from the book. But the book is told in like journals, like it's very epistolary. It's really, really good if you haven't read it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to share with you some of the beginnings. Thank you. 2006. Perfect. 20,067. That was very far in the future. Thank you guys. So yeah, I probably had read that and the Zombie Survival Guide and all of that at the time kind of played into this. So I wrote this book, and the first time I wrote it, I called it Normal Girl. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share, I'm just going to read it off my screen, some of the first examples of the story, just to show you how different, especially when I was first learning to write, how very massively different this story was, and how I gave myself the time to explore and try and think through these stories. So I started the very first version of this in 2008, and it looks nothing like this because it was going to be futuristic. So chapter 1, Normal Girl. Not even the sea of yellow daffodils dancing in the wind was enough to raise my mood that afternoon. Ever since I woke up, I'd had this eerie sense that something was wrong, that feeling where you can't quite place it, but it's there waiting to reveal itself. A feeling like that could ruin a girl's day. Would you stop sulking, Jane? Geez. Carrie kicked at the stem of the daffodil and it severed, falling limply to the ground. I'm not sulking, I protested. I'm just pouting, down, depressed. Seriously, what is it with you lately? It's like somebody stole your favorite cookie, Carrie said, looking annoyed. I turned away from her and pretended to study the clouds overhead. I wasn't sure how to respond, honestly. How was I supposed to know what was wrong? Just something. I squatted among the flowers and picked the petals off the tallest one. Coming here had been stupid. It wasn't cheering me up at all. As I dropped the bright red petals on as I dropped the bright petals on the ground and moved to stand, the sudden roar of a foreign vehicle reached my ears and I froze. Carrie's eyes met mine and we shared a look that was a mix of fear and excitement. It was a Pandora transport ship. So why is my nose just itching? Is somebody talking about me? It will not stop. It will not stop. So the original idea was to call it Normal Girl, but it was going to be sort of like a Pandora's box thing where she opens this box and unleashes the zombie apocalypse. Obviously, this is not what it turned out to be. And the writing is so weak in so many areas. I squatted among the flowers. I mean, it's just terrible. But this is me like pre-publishing, like knowing what I was doing, and it was still fine. Then I switched. So the next time I started working on this, I called it Pandemic, and that is what it was called through multiple versions. So I'm going to read to you the second part. This was the second version of this. Also a little bit set in the future, but you have to remember I was writing this in 2008. So when I say that it's set in 2027, that was like almost 20 years in the future, which is just blows my mind now. So part 1. Hey sis, how was your day? I asked as I walked through the door of our small trailer, as if she could hear me, as if today she might actually respond, ask me how my day was for once. The hologram TV lit up the bright white wall, the sound muted, and my sister was laying in her favorite position on the ratty green and brown couch, blanket wrapped around her body, fetal position, all curled up into herself, shutting the world out completely. She didn't even look at me when I sat down on the other end of the couch and asked the hologram on the wall to display the latest news. Normally, I would just leave her alone, but I wanted to see the news. I scrolled through the headlining videos until I found the story I was looking for and instructed it to play the video. JC Jones's face popped up on the white wall as the familiar jingle filled the room. Channel 101, your news on demand. Hi, I'm JC Jones with Channel 101, your 24-hour news on demand. The World Health Organization today issued a Phase 6 worldwide pandemic alert in response to the spread of the X3X virus. This virus has been confirmed in over 30,000 cases spread throughout 65 countries across the globe. And although symptoms of the virus appear to be relatively mild, there is some concerns about recent reports of a patient slipping into a coma just days after being officially diagnosed. So you could see like futuristic, also still like unedited, kind of terrible, but this idea of like they're in a trailer, but they have this holographic TV. So that is like the second version. The third version of this book that I started kind of looking through was I thought about kind of taking inspiration from World War Z and saying, what if I also tried telling it through the idea of like journals found far later after the apocalypse was done. So this one starts prologue, origin, from the recorded diary of Heidi Vincent, year Z 235. As far as I can tell, this is how the virus began. I have traced its history through journals, firsthand accounts from those who are still alive, as well as newspaper and video evidence from the time of the Z virus. Although it has been centuries since the virus was first reported, there is still some mystery surrounding the events. My aim is to clarify those events in order to prevent them from ever happening again. In the year 2027 AD, the Z virus was first recorded in a hospital just off the coast of what used to be known as Georgia. So, totally different, like kind of thing way before COVID, but also, yeah, definitely has that kind of like too close to home virus kind of idea. So then that was 1, 2, 3 version. The fourth version, yet another one, totally different, also set in 2027. Chapter 1, Pandemic, Hawkinsville, Georgia, 2027. Not again. I could hear the dim buzz of hover skates behind me and my body tensed. This was the third time this week these jerks had come to bother me on my way to school. What the hell did they want this time? Yesterday, all they did was follow me and catcall for a few minutes, but I knew it was only a matter of time before things got rough. Out of all the people who walked to school, why me? If you ask me, compared to some of the other girls around here, I'm pretty plain. Medium length brown hair, brown eyes, medium height, medium everything. If only I had a pair of hover skates. I could have outrun them for sure, but they were gaining on me fast. I slipped my thumbs behind the straps of my backpack and stared straight ahead, putting one foot in front of the other as calmly as I could. "Hey, Parrish, wait up," the older one, Will, shouted. His group of friends laughed, but I didn't dare turn around. So this is, fourth version. We're probably like 6 months into me trying different versions, starting it, stopping it, starting it, stopping it. And this is the first time we hear the name Parrish, and the first time that we get an idea of how she would react to a group of guys either being bullies or ganging up, which is one of the first times we see Parrish in the actual final version of the novel. So then I had another idea of like playing around with it, thinking, okay, what if she was at a boarding school when it happened? Because it would be really interesting to have her separated from her little sister and having to cross the country to go find her. There may have been, when we talk about inspiration for stories, there may have been, has anybody ever seen the book or the movie The Day After Tomorrow? Where it's like climate change and a snowstorm is going to kill everybody like north of the Mississippi, I don't know, Mason-Dixon line or something. I love that movie. It's like Dennis Quaid, I think. It's one of my favorite like natural disaster films. It's so, so good. I mean, terrifying to be sure, but so good. And he basically risks his entire life to walk through the snow to get to New York City to try to save his daughter. Is it his daughter or his son? Now I'm like, it's been years since I watched it. There's multiple people in it, and it's Jake Gyllenhaal, right? Is he his son or he's the daughter's boyfriend? Son. Okay. And then so Jake Gyllenhaal is the son, and then there's a girl that's with him and some other people that are on a trip with him to New York City. And they're like staying in the library, right? Trying to survive. Yeah, the son likes a girl. Thank you, Crystal. So that might have had a sense. Like, I don't know exactly what year that came out either, but there was probably a piece of that of like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if the apocalypse hit and you had to travel to go try to find someone that you loved that you want to save? And so I started setting it in a boarding school. So this is deep into 2009 at this point. So I've been probably working on this book for about a year and have multiple versions of it that are all so incredibly different. So here's another version. Chapter 1. The day my parents dropped me off at school seemed normal enough. If I had known it was the last time I would ever see them, I wonder what I might have done differently. When I think about it now, I can almost count the heartbeats as we hugged and said goodbye. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds and a quick kiss on the cheek. My little sister Maggie had a cold. It was all my mom could do to even take the time to give me a hug. And even as she held me, I could feel that quick pat on the back that said, okay, gotta hurry, don't keep me long. She was just going through the motions, not really thinking about me at all, even though she knew she wouldn't see me for at least 6 months while they were traveling in Europe. She was thinking about Maggie and whether or not she would be able to play her violin at the show in Paris the following week. When I look back on it now, I wish I hadn't been so angry. I wish I hadn't cared so much that they never paid attention to me. But what could I do? You can't change the past, right? So why bother beating myself up over it? So again, oh, that one came out in 2004. Thank you guys. You guys are doing your Googling today. Yeah, so that definitely probably played a part in it for me because it's just that idea of being separated from somebody. So all of that was like at that point, I had finished at least one novel, most of a second novel, because my very first novel that I've read to you guys parts of before never fully got an ending. Then my millionaire romance did get done and it was submitted to a publisher, never got picked up by them, but I did self-publish it. We're not going to go into that. It is self-published out there in the world. But the time that I started writing this, it was 2008. I was really working hard on trying to figure out how do I tell a good story. And I was not thinking at all about self-publishing. I was trying to think, like I was reading a lot of blogs of various agents and editors and trying to figure out what they would want in a zombie book. And at the time, like The Forest of Hands and Teeth had come out, and that was much more like emotional zombie fiction, relationship zombie fiction. Kind of, it's dystopian, but it had it wasn't like action thriller kind of zombie. It wasn't like swords and guns and stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting because that was super popular. So I was really thinking about what could do well, but also what did I want to write. And so obviously I was exploring so many different versions of it, and eventually submitted it to an agent that I loved, as well as an editor at Tor. And well, I pitched it at an RWA, and the agent requested, I think, the first 30 pages or something. The editor at Tor actually requested a full, and I never submitted it to them, which now I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, I think it was like last week, 2 weeks ago, I actually had dinner with Holly Black and her publicist from Tor for her most recent thing. And I was talking about that. And the publicist was like, you should have submitted that book. But I just never did, because once I got the rejection from the agent, I just thought, I really want to self-publish. But I was not sure that I wanted to self-publish that book, because I felt like I had sent it to this agent and expected, like, written it so that an agent would like it. And I had compromised some of the things I wanted to do with the story because I was trying to write it for them. And then it wasn't what they wanted anyway. So I thought, I'm not even going to send it to Tor. I'm just going to self-publish, but I want to self-publish something else. But anyway, it took me finishing 6 books and then coming back around to this story. So this book got published in 2013. The second book, I think, came out in like 2016. And then the third book maybe in 2021. And there still is one more book to come. So this has been like 20 years in the making, and then some, but it is coming. Hopefully the last book will be out next year. But the current opening is, yeah. I went back and kind of changed some of it, but the current opening is very different from what you guys originally have heard from me. So if you want to check this book out, by the way, you can grab this one for free at any retailer, not the paperback, but the ebook. Just search for Death's Awakening and you can get it started for free, but you can read kind of what those early versions came in on. But it's like, sometimes I think, especially now, because, back in the day when you were first writing, you knew it was going to be a long publishing haul. Like almost everybody who started writing in the 90s or the 2000s knew that, okay, it's going to take me a while. I have to get an agent. I have to, whatever. But now you hear about people who literally had an idea and they have a published book by the end of the year. Like there's no delay in how, the only delay is how long does it take you to get the book ready, right? And of course, there's other things that you have to do, like learn how to self-publish, but you don't actually have to do that. You just have to be able to upload the book to Amazon and whatever. It's just a matter of whether you want to actually do it right and sell it. But because of that idea of there not being a delay, I think there is more pressure to write fast now than there ever was. So this is kind of, if you are thinking of being a writer, just know that you don't have to, I don't know exactly how I want to say that, but like, you don't have to write as fast as you can, that it's okay to give yourself permission to take a year or 2 years to learn the craft, to try to figure it out. Because even though I spent more than a year and a half working on this book and I did finish it, I had an ending to it. It was completely done. I ended up coming back to it, like leaving it and coming back to it years later and rewriting it. And what was the original 1 book became 3 books, because I realized I had rushed it. I had gone way too fast on the storyline, and I went back and split it. And it's so much better for it. And I love hearing those of you that say this is your favorite book. Like, it's actually my favorite Sarra Cannon book. I still think this would make the best TV series. I do too. I would love to see that someday. I think it's such really interesting magic. I love the characters in this series, and it's just really fun. And I cannot wait to finish it someday, but we haven't been there. If you're just joining us, by the way, and you see people putting hashtag ideas, that is because I'll be giving away your choice of one of these paperbacks at the end of the live stream. So go ahead and hit that and you will be entered. So after Death's Awakening, I was at a beach retreat I got the rejection from that agent. And George and I had already been talking about self-publishing and maybe I should try this and maybe it's right for me. But everybody was like, this is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. You'll ruin your career. Because back in 2010, that was true. Like if you self-published, a lot of agents and editors were like, we don't want to work with you anymore. So it was risky, but I felt intuitively like it was the right thing for me. And so I had the word believe tattooed on my arm and I decided that I was going to self-publish. But like I said, I didn't feel like my skill level was right for this book. And also I was like, I wrote that for Chad Pub. Maybe I'll come back to it someday, but let me write something different. So I started binge watching stuff and I was making quilts. So I was sewing machine, all the things, all the sewing stuff. And I was making quilts for Christmas and I started binge watching Netflix. George was working full time at the time. I was basically just full time learning how to be a writer. We didn't have kids. We would game all evening. We were playing EverQuest 2. So I was just whatever. I watched Desperate Housewives. I watched a bunch of stuff. And my sister was like, oh, you know what you would love is this show called Veronica Mars. And it had already been off the air, I think, for a while, but it was all bingeable on Netflix. And so I watched Veronica Mars and I fell in love with Veronica. Like that character from the minute I met her, the first episode, I fell in love with her. And I started thinking, how fun would it be to write a series where you had a snarky heroine who's kind of an outcast from the like cheerleader popular group who solves mysteries using magic, like she's a witch. So I was thinking kind of like a mix of Buffy and Veronica Mars. And that became Beautiful Demons. And I made a whole collage, literally got a ton of magazines and started making collages and figuring out what I wanted it to be. And I sat down and I just wrote this book. And it was a murder mystery with a witch, with a spooky house. I just put everything that I loved about this type of fiction when I was a kid, like spooky woods, haunted house, like a mysterious things like they lock your door from the outside, foster homes, like unsure of who your parents were, like all of those kinds of things, as well as the like mean girls, the beautiful girls that are cheerleaders and you're not the popular person, all of that stuff. And I just poured it all into the story. But I thought that there was one person, and don't put any spoilers because there's people who haven't read this, but I thought, okay, I know who the killer is. And I was writing the whole book like that and just having the time of my life because I had taken the pressure off of needing to please anybody else. This was just like, hey, we're going to see if this works. I'm going to self-publish this. And if nobody buys it, nobody buys it. So I wrote this out of nothing but pure joy. And so this had a rough draft. And the minute I finished the book, it was a different killer than I thought. And it turned my whole world upside down. And I got so excited that the ending surprised me. And it let me know something about writing sometimes that is, I shared this on my other YouTube channel today, is that sometimes the characters have a mind of their own. The story takes on a life of its own. And it just felt so fun. And I immediately just created a new document and started rewriting the book. And I didn't even pull stuff off from the old book. I just started rewriting this book and it became Beautiful Demons. And I will tell you, I'll send you a message, Jess. But it's a short book. It may not be the most literarily perfect book, but it is definitely a book that I poured my whole heart into. And of course, I thought I'm going to write a trilogy and in each one she'll solve a different mystery. And if you know this series, you know there's 11 books, 4 spinoff things. Like there's so much stuff that like there's side stories like After Midnight and A Demon's Wrath and there's Sacrifice Me. And now we have the Shadow Games, and there potentially will be more once the 12th book comes out. So it is, one of those things where I never expected in 2010 when I started writing this, but I literally started writing this in, I think, August and published it in late October. So this was the fastest and most excited I'd ever been for anything. So Beautiful Demons. I wrote the first 6 books of that series, felt like, okay, there's a good stopping point here. Back then, this was called the Peachful High Demon series, and it had a different cover. Then I published Death's Awakening. So that was written before, then edited and published later. Then once I finished that, I wrote, actually, I think this came out before Death's Awakening. I was on my way home to Georgia, back when I used to go home. And the first book, how many words? It's about 48,000 words. So just shy of 50,000 words, which is about the same length as A Mirror of Shadows. So pretty short, still a novel, but a short novel. I was on my way home to Georgia. And at the time, Colleen Hoover's Hopeless and a bunch of other new adult contemporary books had started taking over the charts. And I wasn't necessarily planning to write a contemporary anything, but I was looking for, what do I want to write next? I want to write something different from Shadow Demons for a little bit. What do I want to write next? And I was listening to just random YouTube music or something, and Taylor Swift's song about I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In came on, and this title came to mind, The Trouble with Goodbye. And I immediately thought, oh my gosh, I want to write a small town girl who has to come home after being, just devastated at college from a personal event, and meets a bad boy that's moved to her hometown. And that became this book. And I also wrote this book very quickly, and it came out in May 2013, I believe. And then I think Death's Awakening came out in July 2013. So that's where this idea came from, was a Taylor Swift song, which, by the way, I know there's some people are like, I'm so tired of hearing about Taylor Swift, but I actually love the new album. I've been listening to it on repeat. So one of the next stories that I wrote is the Sacrifice Me series. And we're going to get a little bit we're still going to stay in order, but there were also like more Fairhope books, more Beautiful Demons and stuff like that came out. But then I was almost like a waking dream. I had been watching a bunch of things like Buffy, like a rewatch of Buffy and some other things. And I was really thinking a lot about vampires and how much I would love to write something with vampires. And I thought about angels. I thought, I want to write something with vampires and angels, obviously inspired by Buffy, and had this sudden image in my head, like a movie, of a girl being tossed into a back alley of a club, and there's vampires back there, and the owner of the club comes out and saves her. And at the time I thought, well, the owner of the club is going to be an angel, and this will be really interesting. But when I started writing it, I was like, holy cannoli, this is part of the Shadow Demons world. And I didn't even know it. I wasn't writing it to be like that. But when I started writing this book, it was came out as a serialized story, meaning similar to A Mirror of Shadows. I wrote it in episodes. And I went to a hotel to work on this angel story. And I wrote in a single night, like almost 17,000 words of this story. And it became this side story of Shadow Demons. So this is, Rend. Rend is like one of my favorite characters I have ever written. And I just love him so much. And this is Frankie, who also has a side story with, or a relationship with one of the main Shadow Demons characters. And you will be, there'll be some behind the scenes being shared in the Broken Chapter after hours, after this live stream, about some of the characters. So you might see another Crow Witch in the next series. So that's where this idea came from. It was gonna be, I don't even know, like Buffy, I guess, but angels and demons, and ended up not being, it was gonna be angels and vampires, and it ended up being demons and vampires instead. So kind of interesting there. So I hit a point in, I forget when this one came out, 2015 or 2017, that I just had hit a kind of a depression. I was at the time estranged from my family, going through some really hard times writing, could not get the books that people wanted me to get out. And so I was just like, I need to write something that feels, yay, Laura, welcome, welcome. I need to write something that feels like it's fun again. And so I just, again, went off on a writing retreat. This is a couple years later, and came up with the idea for this story, Deep Dark Secrets. Now, originally this was going to be called The Spirit Walkers, and I have since decided not to finish that series. So I have been working on a rewrite of this that takes out the things that would make it a longer series and kind of closes it up a little bit more. It's not quite ready yet because I'm just working on it very slowly. However, I can show you guys the new cover. This is the new cover for this. Since The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw is a standalone, I thought, since this one will now become a standalone as well, that I would have the cover done by the same cover artist that did Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. And so this is the cover for Deep Dark Secrets. So I love this cover too. This was done by Raven, but to brand it more along the lines of Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, this is the new cover that will be coming out hopefully later this year or early next year once this is rewritten. So I love it. It's so good. I love the dark color. I love the like the amulet, if you know it, the broken shattered glass. It starts with a car accident. Just absolutely love it. She does such a good job. So if you have not read this yet, you will get a whole new experience with it being a standalone. If you have read this, you will get a free copy of the ebook updated for you with the new stuff if you've already purchased it before. Is it similar to Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw? It's a murder mystery in a similar way with an unreliable narrator. So it has that kind of similarities, but it's not dual timelines and it's not like multiple POV. It's just one point of view, but I would say it's along the similar lines of like a character who doesn't fully know what happened, trying to discover, and we aren't sure we can 100% rely on her because she's been in a coma. So I think it's similar in that way. 51 minutes. How did we get through this so fast? It's like I could just talk for hours. Okay, another thing that came after that was a series that I wrote with a group of friends of mine. So we were in a mastermind, just some of my friends. We started our own little mastermind and we called it Mastermind Mamas because all of us had young children. And we started meeting once a week and talking about how to market our books, what it's like being an author, what our latest ideas are. We started sharing some marketing tactics and we were having a lot of fun together. And so after about a year or so of meeting, we thought, why don't we write something together? And so we spent maybe 6 months to a year working on a story of like a town together. And we even had like maps of the town. I don't think we ever really shared all of that stuff, but it was kind of just for our own reference and coming up with the quirky characters that own this shop and that owns this shop. And we had this idea of a magical town set near the beach, near the water somewhere, that has a giant willow tree. And the willow tree is the magic that protects the town from being discovered by the outside world, because this town is inhabited by magical, mystical creatures, witches, vampires, demons, all kinds of things. And so these are kind of romantic suspense books. They're called the Willow Harbor series. So my books in this were books number 4 and 7 out of 8. And so we were kind of playing around with this idea of what kind of creatures do we want to have? So there's like a vampire, I think there's like an angel, and I decided to write basically a merman that we called Tritons. And this was so fun. It's like a mermaid guy falls in love with a witch. I love that. And then the other book in this series that was mine was a witch also. Of course. So if you want some really fun kind of romantic suspense, easy to read, quick books, definitely check out the Willow Harbor books. I think Shifter's Fate is the first one in the series. That's by Alyssa Rose Ivy. And my book is number 4, but you could read these standalone if you wanted to. Like, you don't have to read the rest of the series, but the whole series is really good. It's Jennifer Snyder, Alyssa Rose Ivy, Juliana Hager, and myself. So highly recommend checking out those because that was really fun. And then, of course, 2020. We all know what started to happen. I actually started getting a lot of messages from people in 2019, shortly after I had Evie, saying, "Oh my gosh, are you following what's happening in, China? Because this sounds like Death's Awakening." And truthfully, when I was working on this book, I watched a lot of documentaries. I listened to a lot of podcasts and other things about what would really happen if we had a major pandemic. And so I made this as realistic as possible, never expecting that we would go through that. And obviously, of course, we don't have a magical witch in this, and we do not have a, people rising from the dead. We did not have a zombie apocalypse. However, people started messaging me about that. And I started thinking, as it became more and more serious and we were going to go into lockdown and everything, I was really engaging with my fans over Death's Awakening and the Eternal Sorrow series. And I started thinking, well, this would be fun to do just a quick, maybe 2-week novella. And so I put up a poll. What do you guys think as a title? And everybody picked The Witch's Key. And I had no idea what it was going to be about. I literally just came up with the idea on the fly. However, the ending of this story. If you have listened to it, there's a demon in this as well, but very different from my shadow demons. And I had the idea, if you like, I won't spoil it, but there's a moment where they're stuck in a circle together. And that scene had also come to me in like a moment, like a movie, like a dream, but it was meant for a different book. So this happens to me sometimes, is where I will see something, I'll think I know what projects it's for, and it's not. And I will realize, like I did when I got to the end of this book, oh my gosh, that scene that I remember was for this. So it ended up obviously not just being for 2 weeks. We read this for like 2 months. And I was reading it as I was watching it. And this is one of the reasons I'm so excited for A Mirror of Shadows, because we're going to recapture some of that feel. So even if you can't be here live, definitely come watch them on replay and see if you can watch. I will have the like moment I start reading linked in the comments and pinned to the top every time, so that if you just want to come and listen to the story, you'll be able to just click on that link and you'll start, okay, chapter 1, etc. You're reading Witch's Key at the moment. I love it. And there is a new cover for this as well. I don't have it pulled up right now, but I think some of you have seen it, but I didn't want to publish the new cover until I had the second book. So it is still coming. I do still plan on writing The Witch's Door, which is the second series in this, but years have gone by and it just has not been, been possible. And then of course we have The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. And this idea was also kind of a multi combination in terms of where the ideas came from. So I had mentioned this when we did our spectacular coffee chat last week, where we were talking about true crime, that a friend of mine from high school disappeared. And it ended up being, we weren't in high school at the time. She was grown up, a teacher. But it ended up her case being the largest case in the history of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Solved now, however, at the time it was not. And her best friend, Maria, was a close friend of mine in high school. And when the podcast and everything that had come out about Tara, our friend that disappeared and sadly passed away, she, when the podcast came out, it ended up that people started talking in the town, and somebody basically was like, hey, I think I know who did this. And all that information came to light, and then it started to go to trial. And Maria contacted me and said, you're the only writer I know, and I'm getting contacted by all these places that want to tell Tara's story in a nonfiction book. And we would love for you to do it. And I realized that would mean I would have to go home, be there for the trial, learn a whole new way of writing, and that it would probably take over my whole life. And as much as I loved Tara and would have loved to have done something for her, I just couldn't do that because I was estranged from my family. I needed to be there for my own family. I couldn't really go through that trial. But it started coming to mind of like, what if I wrote a story about a missing girl and at least did her justice, right? And so that's where the ideas first started percolating about the disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. And it took me a while. I started writing it when I was pregnant with Evie and couldn't finish it. My brain just got eaten by pregnancy and came back to it obviously a couple of years ago, and it was published last year. So this is my most recent book up until A Mirror of Shadows, which we will start reading. And I will share how I came up with the ideas for A Mirror of Shadows in our Broken Chapter Society after party that we will have in about 15 minutes. For anyone in the Broken Chapter Society, you can attend that. We will start at 5:15 and go for about 45 minutes. And that will be the way that we will do all next week. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We will read A Mirror of Shadows. So we'll have episode 1 on Monday, episode 2 on Wednesday, episode 3, which will be kind of the biggest cliffhanger so far, dare I say. Sarah Hanger will be on Friday. And then after that, we will have a breakdown where I will share with members of the Broken Chapter Society a little bit more about where the ideas for those chapters came from. And there might be some extra snippets of the story that I'll share over there. I had hoped that I would also get it onto Spotify, but I don't know if I'm going to have time for that. There's just too much going on. But I am so excited to read this story. I hope it was really interesting for you guys to hear how the ideas came to be. But I am going to go ahead and pick a winner for this giveaway, and you can choose any of the books that I just shared with you. So let's do it. Dun, dun, dun. And if you have them all, you can pick something else from my backlist, or you can pick a Mirror of Shadows. Danielle Lynn, you are the winner of this giveaway. So you can choose any of those books signed and sent to you in paperback, or you can choose a Mirror of Shadows if you want. Just be aware that it will be late November before a Mirror of Shadows is ready to go for you. But send me an email, sarah@sarracannon.com. I'm going to put it in the chat with your address and which book you want, and I will send it to you. Congratulations. All right, you guys, that is it. We did have a cover reveal, but I can show you again. Hold on. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. A Mirror of Shadows. Here is the cover. This is a portal fantasy. It is a Death Games story. This is not young adult. It is much more new adult. So more along the lines of Sacrifice Me. There will be more romance in this series. Although I had mentioned, I don't actually know if I'm going to write any like sexier times in this book. There will be kissing. This will be kissing books, although we are not going to get a kiss in the first book potentially. But if there are any sexier times in this book, they will not be read on YouTube. They will only be in the final version, just to let you guys know. But it will be more romance, but there's also a little bit more violence. So if you are sensitive to descriptions of violence, there is a little bit of violence, nothing gory, but Sarra Cannon style violence. If you've read Sacrifice Me, this will be very similar in taste, but also a little bit more action oriented, I guess. So it's going to be fun. I cannot wait. Yeah, maybe PG-13. That might be a good way to describe it, Janine. Also, Janine finished draft, right? Congratulations to you. This is a kissing book. Is this a kissing book? That is also one of my favorite books of our movies of all time. I have never read the book, The Princess Bride, but I love the movie. I cannot wait for you guys to hear this story. I have poured the last year of my love into this series, and there will be 5 books in this series, and we will read them all here on YouTube, all completely for free. If you are in the Broken Chapter Society, you will also get the written version of it to read. So if you're in Broken Chapter and you can't make it to the live, you can choose to just read through it, but everybody else will just get to listen to it. But you will be able to listen to it for free. And as soon as I can, I will put it up on pre-order so that you can purchase it in paperback and ebook. And of course, just enjoy the story, which we're all going to do. It's going to be awesome. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited too. So I cannot wait for that on Monday. But don't forget, we have K-Pop Demon Hunters at 4 p.m. tomorrow. The link will go up on the blog about an hour before. I know the Scentsy giveaway from Kelly's shop is open. So if you want to go look around over on my blog, you can find some other things to enter to win. And then we will have a Broken Chapter Society curators tier reading sprints on Sunday, and then Monday we'll be back for a Mirror of Shadows, and it will once it starts, it will be it'll be going. Andrew and I got together earlier this week to write together, and that was so fun. We were both individually listening to Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl, but we had some matcha and some coffee, and then we went and had some ramen and some boba tea. It was amazing. So that was really fun. Andrew, we'll have to do that again. But I love hanging out with all of you. I wish we could all get together for boba and writing time and reading time together, but at least we have this time together. And I just truly, truly love it. So if you're in the Broken Chapter Society, I will see you in about 15 minutes in our breakdown, where we're going to go a little bit more over behind the scenes for what's coming up on Monday. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will either see you tomorrow for our sorry. I'll either see you tomorrow for K-Pop Demon Hunters, or I will see you on Monday for our readings. All right. Love you guys. Bye.